Shalom, everyone. Let's talk about the Sabbath day. Now, the Sabbath day was instituted at creation during Creation Week. It is a very important matter to our Father and Creator, Yahuwah, and it should be an important matter to you as well. We are told in the book of Ezekiel that it is actually a sign between Him and His people. Okay, let's take a look at when the Sabbath day, the seventh day, was first introduced. Genesis chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. And in the seventh day, Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and set it apart, because on it he rested from all his work which Elohim in creating had made. Okay. There are some out there who put forth this notion of a so-called lunar Sabbath. And this is, based on the sighting of the moon, and the result is that the Sabbath day is not observed every seventh day. Okay. However, I propose to you from this right here, when this matter is first introduced in the Word, like when any matter is first introduced in the Word, we are going to be told any important and salient points of that matter. Now, if the Sabbath day, if the seventh day, the day that he set apart and sanctified and blessed, had anything to do with the moon whatsoever, we would be told right here in Genesis chapter 2. But we're not. Okay, so let's take a look at Genesis chapter 1, 16 through 19. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning the fourth day. Okay, so the moon is created on the fourth day of creation week, and the Sabbath day is instituted on the seventh day. So, the moon does not have anything to do with the Sabbath day at all. And the Sabbath day is every seventh day. All right. Now, the other important point to note here from Genesis 1, 16 through 19 is when is the span of a day? And we are told that it is evening. There came to be evening and there came to be a morning, day 4. Okay. Now, we're told that with every other matter during creation week, about evening and morning and day 2, day 3, and so forth. Okay, now I want to read Leviticus chapter 23, verses 27 and 28. This is in regards to Yom Kippur. Introduction. On the 10th day of this 7th new moon is Yom HaKippurim. It shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall afflict your beings, and shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah. And you do no work on that same day, for it is Yom Kippurim, to make atonement for you before Yahuwah your Elohim. Now, I was just reading that to introduce that this is about Yom Kippur. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 32 reads, in regards to this, it is a Sabbath of rest to you. Now, this is a high Sabbath. This is a special appointed time. This is not in regards to the weekly Sabbath. It is a Sabbath of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings. On the 9th day of the new moon at evening, from evening to evening, you observe your Sabbath. Okay? So, the important point to note here, why I brought this out, is that a day runs from evening to evening, sundown to sundown. Now again, the sighting of the moon does determine the high Sabbaths, okay, such as Passover, such as Yom Kippur, such as the Feast of Tabernacles, and so forth. But that is not what this discussion is about. The weekly Sabbath does not have anything to do with the moon. Okay, so the Sabbath day. Let's talk about what the correct Sabbath day is and the change that was made back in the 4th century. So there is plenty of information on the internet regarding this matter. there are a lot of articles out there, and most of them state pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to read just a little bit here from an article. Okay. Under Satan's direction, Constantine set up the Council of Nicaea and presided as Summus Pontifex, the official title of a pope. The Catholic Church claimed Peter was the first so-called pope of this papal system, but it was in fact Constantine. So under Constantine, as its first pope, the Roman Catholic institution as we know it today had its beginning. Now that's an important point because the Roman Catholic Church is the mother harlot church, and the daughters of the harlot are Protestant Christianity because they practice these pagan practices such as Sunday worship. Okay. Now continuing on here, in 330 AD, Constantine moved his capital from Rome to Constantinople, preparing the way for the Roman Catholic popes to reign in Rome as the successors of Constantine. As the Roman Church grew in power, it opposed Sabbath observance in favor of Sunday sacredness and made the day change official in the Council of Laodicea AD 363-364. So Constantine's law resulted in the final change of the Sabbath to Sunday. Okay? And it is important to know that there is an enemy of mankind working in this world through this beast system, what we now, most people refer to as the New World Order. Okay, so what is that beast system going to do if it is opposed to our Creator Yahuwah and to His creation, man? Well, it is going to change His commandments so that we sin unknowingly and go along with the ways of the so-called world. Okay, I want to read you some quotes here by Catholics themselves. This is James Cardinal Gibbons from The Faith of Our Fathers, and he is quoted as, "But you may read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, and you will not find a single line authorizing the sanctification of Sunday. The Scriptures enforce the religious observance of Saturday, a day which we never sanctify." That's straight out of their mouth. Okay, from the Catholic Mirror, the official publication of James Cardinal Gibbons, September 23rd, 1893, the Catholic Church, by virtue of her divine mission, changed the day from Saturday to Sunday. Okay. Martin J. Scott, Things Catholics Are Asked About, 1927. Nowhere in the Bible is it stated that worship should be changed from Saturday to Sunday. Now the Church instituted by God's authority Sunday as the day of worship. This same Church, by the same divine authority, taught the doctrine of purgatory long before the Bible was made. We have, therefore, the same authority for purgatory as we have for Sunday. Okay. Peter Kramer, Catholic Church Extension Society, 1975. Regarding the change from the observance of the Jewish Sabbath to the Christian Sunday, I wish to draw your attention to the facts. Now, many people will say this is a Jewish thing, the Sabbath, but it is not. It is a biblical thing. It is something that our Creator Yahuwah instituted Himself, so it doesn't have anything to do with Jewishness. All right. Protestants who accept the Bible as the only rule of faith and religion should by all means go back to the observance of the Sabbath. The fact that they do not, but on the contrary, observe the Sunday stultifies them in the eyes of every thinking man. I agree. Because many of them know what the true Sabbath is, yet they do not want to observe that because the world observes Sunday. At least in America, the vast majority of people who claim the faith will observe Sunday as a day to go to church. But even if they did think it was the Sabbath, they still do not honor it as if it were the Sabbath because they still go out and shop and do all sorts of things. They do not rest according to the command in the Ten Commandments anyway. Okay, also, We Catholics do not accept the Bible as the only rule of faith. Besides the Bible, we have the living church, the authority of the church, as a rule to guide us. We say, this church, instituted by Christ to teach and guide man through life, has the right to change the ceremonial laws of the Old Testament, and hence we accept her change of the Sabbath to Sunday. We frankly say, yes, the church made this change, made this law, as she made many other laws. For instance, the Friday abstinence, the unmarried priesthood, the laws concerning mixed marriages, the regulation of Catholic marriages, and 1,000 other laws. It is always somewhat laughable to see the Protestant churches in pulpit and legislation demand the observance of Sunday, of which there is nothing in their Bible. That's because they're just going along with the world. James 4:4, friendship with the world is enmity or hostility with Yahuwah. All right. Okay, I'm going to leave a link to a 10-minute video by Messenger of the Name. This is in regards to the Sabbath. And in this particular video, there is a list of names for this day that we refer to as Saturday, and that in other cultures you can see easily that there is a variation of, okay, so we get Sabbath from the Hebrew word for that day, Shabbat. And then there are very many other variations for this. For instance, in Greek it is Sabbathon. Okay, so the seventh day that we refer to as Saturday, in Greek it is Sabbathon. And in Russian it is Subota. And then in Latin it is Sabbatum. And then of course in Spanish, the word for Saturday in Spanish is Sabado. Okay, so you can see that this comes from Sabbath, which comes from Shabbat. Also in Italian is Sabado. Okay, so in addition to that video, I'm also going to leave links to 2 other excellent teachings by Messenger of the Name, Restoring the Creator's Name in regards to our Father's name, and also one called What is His Son's Name in regards to Messiah's name, Yahushua. Okay, let's look at some verses regarding the importance of the Sabbath day to our Father that is in the Word. Okay, first let's go to the 10 Commandments. Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Now I want to say right off the bat that when all the 10 Commandments are given, okay, there are 4 verses. There is more said in regards to the Sabbath than any other. Okay, Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to set it apart. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work. But the 7th day is a Sabbath of Yahuwah your Elohim. You do not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart. So we are told right there, again, he is reminding us. First he says, remember the Sabbath day. Okay? Then he tells us again of why the Sabbath was instituted in the first place, because it is based on creation, not the moon. Okay? Exodus chapter 31, 13 through 17. And you speak to the children of Israel, saying, my Sabbaths you are to guard by all means, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, to know that I, Yahuwah, am setting you apart, and you shall guard the Sabbath, for it is set apart to you. Everyone who profanes it shall certainly be put to death. For anyone who does work on it, that being shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days' work is done, and on the 7th is a Sabbath of rest, set apart to Yahuwah. Everyone doing work on the Sabbath day shall certainly be put to death. And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath, to perform the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. between me and the children of Israel. It is a sign forever. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. Wow. I mean, that is just powerful. You shouldn't really need to read anything else regarding how important this matter is to our Father, your Maker and my Maker. All right. Exodus chapter 34, verse 21. 6 days you work, but on the seventh day you rest. In plowing time and in harvest you rest. Always, every seventh day. That's what he's telling us there. Isaiah chapter 56, verses 4 through 6. For thus said Yahuwah to the eunuchs who guard my Sabbaths, and have chosen what pleases me, and are holding on to my covenant. To them I shall give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than that of sons and daughters. I give them an everlasting name that is not cut off. Also, the sons of the foreigner who join themselves to Yahuwah to serve him, and to love the name of Yahuwah, to be his servants, all who guard the Sabbath and not profane it, and are holding on to my covenant. Isaiah 58, verses 13 and 14. If you do turn back your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my set-apart day, and shall call the Sabbath a delight, the set-apart day of Yahuwah esteemed, and shall esteem it, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words. Then you shall delight yourself in Yahuwah, and I shall cause you to ride on the heights of the earth, and feed you with the inheritance of Jacob your father. That's Jacob. For the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken. Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 21 and 22. Thus said Yahuwah, guard yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, nor take a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day, nor do any work, and you shall set apart the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. Ezekiel chapter 20, verses 11 and 12. And I gave them my laws, and showed them my right rulings, which, if a man does, he shall live by them. And I also gave them my Sabbaths, to be a sign between them and me, to know that I am Yahuwah, who sets them apart. See right there, he says, it is a sign between him and his people. Just like it said in Exodus chapter 31, right here it is reiterated. And again, Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 20. And set apart my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between me and you, to know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Okay. Now, when it refers to my Sabbaths, he is referring to the weekly Sabbath, but also the appointed times, the high Sabbaths, such as Passover, seventh day of unleavened bread, Yom Teruah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. And also Shavuot, which is commonly known as Pentecost, also first fruits. Okay, and these are the fall feasts and the spring feasts. Okay, so Protestant Christianity, there is teaching in Protestant Christianity, and this is one of the reasons why I say that this Protestant Christianity, these churches are the daughters of the mother harlot church, because they follow these teachings and these so-called traditions of the Roman Catholic beast church. Okay, but if they would actually read the word, they would see that, these things do not apply, because one of the teachings is, well, Jesus came and he, quote unquote, did away with the law. But from his own mouth, he said, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Okay, so everything that we just read up to this point was from the Torah and the prophets regarding the importance of the Sabbath. Okay, it is in the Ten Commandments. It is in a couple other places in Exodus. and then it is in Isaiah, it is in Jeremiah, it is in Ezekiel. Okay? Now, this cannot be overstated as well. Revelation chapter 12, verse 17 tells us that the remnant are those who guard the commands of Yahuwah and who have the witness of Yahushua. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 11 discusses those that have received the mark of the beast and what will befall them. But in verse 12, after this, there's a different group of people. And they are those who have not received the mark of the beast. And the characteristics of this group is that they guard the commands of Yahuwah and have the belief in Yahushua the Messiah, Jesus. Okay? Revelation chapter 22, verse 14 tells us that those doing his commands are the ones who have the right to the tree of life. So, I encourage you to meditate on this, to consider this, and to look into this much deeper. There's an abundance of evidence that the Sabbath day was changed and that it is a very important matter, and I encourage you to look into it. Thanks for listening.